Welcome to JLR's Gaydon headquarters. Behind me, as you can see, is the Jaguar Electric GT. We still don't know what this car is going to be called. It could be the O-Type, it could be the J-Type. We won't know until September when they finally confirm some more specific details about this car. But today, we are going to get to understand it just that little bit more. And we're going to use a classic Jaguar from the 1970s to do that. So we're going to have the new electric Jag against one from 50 years ago. And I bet you can't guess which car it is. Right then, viewer, here we go. You've seen it on the ice at Revy. This may be the first chance you've had to watch the new Jaguar EV being driven on something like a road. We're not on the road today, we're at Jaguar's Proving Ground in Warwickshire. It's kind of like a road here, it's close. And it's the kind of place where you can begin to explore just what this car can do. And I tell you what, its range of dynamic ability is pretty startling. So, we still don't know what it's called, right? We'll call it, we'll just call it the EV today, but it is 5.2 meters and something close to 2.5 tons of 1,000 horsepower electric Jaguar, the future of Jaguar, no less. And I've just done my first quarter of a mile in it. So, basic stuff first. I fit. There's 6'3" of me, I fit just fine. And that's quite a critical thing because this isn't just another EV where Jaguar's basically plonked in a skateboard style battery and then put seats on top of it and wrapped the rest of the packaging around it and you know, made do. They have been very, very clever with how they've laid out the JEA platform, which is what the platform for this car is called. They've arranged and configured the battery packs so that they can put this driver's seat slightly lower at the back. They can incline the base about 6 degrees and they can just probably bring your head down. Maybe it might only be a couple of inches, but they really wanted this to feel like a car you were sitting in and not on, right? And I think they've succeeded at that. I mean, it's quite a sort of a intimate feeling interior. I wouldn't say it's as expansive as some big saloons. I've got just enough headroom there, probably got about an inch spare. The car is sort of moving around you, but you are where you want to be within it to feel exactly what it's doing. Oh, other big picture stuff, 1,000 horsepower. They haven't actually confirmed exactly what the final figures will be on that yet, but they've said at least 1,000 HP. I think it's something in excess of 900 pounds-foot of torque. It's fast, so we're just pulling along 70 miles an hour. One of the ways they wanted it to feel fast was, unlike other EVs, they want you to be able to put your foot down on the motorway and for it to pick up in a way that feels like it's got power in reserve. That's a Jaguar thing, right? So, let's see how that feels. Yes, yeah, it does that quite well. Yeah, it just lifted its prow a little bit like a speedboat and then just dumped hundreds of pounds-foot of torque through, but not in a sort of an aggressive way. It doesn't rush onto the throttle, it doesn't just sort of, there's nothing uncouth at all about the delivery of power. Just feeds it in like a sort of a waiter or an expensive gentleman's club just delivering your scotch and soda or something. It's incredible. There's such a sense of richness about it. Right, so this is a bit of a more challenging route for this car in terms of ride and handling and ride isolation. This is the LSE, the low speed emissions route at Gaydon, and the surfaces here are a lot coarser, a bit more open. They're just gonna interrogate this car's isolation a bit more than the ones we were on before. So let's have a listen just for a second. Maybe you can begin to get a sense for what this car can really do to isolate you from what's going on underneath. Bear in mind, this is the stiffest car that Jaguar has ever made. So the suspension is working attached to a chassis that's got something like 50,000 Newton meters per degree of torsional stiffness. So that's pretty unprecedented even in terms of modern Jaguars. That means the engineers can just tune the car's ride and handling really to a really fine art. And here we've got a lot of stuff going on in the gutter on the left and a much smoother surface on the right. And honestly, we've been driving down that all day in some of the classic cars, and they do well on it. but honestly, this thing's on 23-inch wheels. It just glides over impacts like that, almost as if they weren't there, because it's just tuned to do it. You know, modern performance EVs are not like this. You don't get such dedication to the idea of rolling comfort and refinement and isolation, because I guess modern manufacturers get bogged down in wanting to be the fastest around the Nordschleife, or wanting the fastest 0 to 100 kilometers time, or there are just slightly more sort of apparently more powerful but ultimately more prosaic targets to aim at than a car that feels right, that feels like a car you want to spend time in. Whereas the point of difference with this one is that's where they started. You know, they wanted a feeling. I think Jaguar wanted a feeling of its heritage, the kind of feeling that you would want to come back to make the kind of car that you just want to spend time in and do any kind of journey in. And that's what this car feels to me. It is certainly big. It is, well, you can decide for yourself whether it's the kind of Jaguar, design-wise, that you would expect from the company. You know, it is clearly a challenging car in some ways, and it's going to take us a while to get used to. But I think, in that respect, Jaguar doesn't really want to make it easy. They want to challenge. They want to challenge norms, the idea of a Jaguar. They want to sort of redefine that a bit, at least with the exterior design of the car. But it's really encouraging and reassuring to find out that when you get in this car and drive it, it feels familiar. I guess there's only so much pushing at the of the owner that you really want to do. You know, sooner or later you've got to make him feel at home. I think that's what driving this car will do. So it's promising. It'll be a while before we drive a finished one, 2027 probably, and then there'll be all the usual coverage. You know, the big press launch probably somewhere exotic, and then UK cars for road tests and all of that. But for now, and as much as we can tell at the proving ground, this is a pretty good start. Right, so viewer, here we are. This is, believe it or not, a 1975 5.3 litre Jaguar XJ coupe. Now, when you think of all the classic cars in Jaguar's history that they might have drawn and, you know, used as a sort of a really close ancestor for the new electric one, I don't know. Would you think of this car? You might do, but I'll be honest, it's not the first one that sprung to my mind. But the man to my left knows a bit more about that process. This is John Darlington. John is the chief engineer for the platform that sits underneath the new Jaguar EV, and he's going to tell us a little bit.
So yeah, XJ-C, as you say, 70s V12, 5.3 litre V8. The coupe, super important. For me, the reason why this car is so important, we went back and drove a load of cars from history, as you know, been talking through, and you've had a chance to drive them all today. But what was really, really important was getting that essence of what was true to the Jaguars that we wanted to capture. So for us, the XJ-C has got all of that great refinement and cruising capability of the Series 1 XJ, but then brings in that control and that comfort and that composure that is much more akin to a GT, and that was the essence. That was the magic sauce, if you like.
Right.
That we wanted to drop into the new Jag.
Because notionally, it's kind of the right sort of size. It's got the right kind of brief. I mean, you look at the numbers. It's kind of also nowhere near, right? I mean, you're talking.
Absolutely.
You know, there's probably like, I don't know, 600, 700 kilos between the cars. You know, this is less than 300 horsepower.
Yeah, we're more than 1,000.
More than 1,000 PS. So how on earth can you make a brand new EV that's basically out of a whole different kind of world to a car like this?
Yeah, so we drove the back catalogue not to like measure direct targets. We didn't measure any of these cars objectively. It was that subjective feeling that was really, really important for us. And then it's translating that into the into the modern world. So what is the character of this car? How does this car handle the road surfaces? How does it breathe the road, which is really important? What's that balance of roll, compliance, comfort? They were all the things that we understood subjectively. But then it's turning those into statements that we can then engineer for the modern era. So the words that you would then say about the new car are relevant to this car, but in 60 years later, which was really important for us. So we're going around this hairpin now, that there is a natural roll in the car. It's quite controlled, it's quite balanced. Sorry, it's turn the radio. It's quite controlled, it's quite balanced, it's super smooth. It's that aspect we wanted to get through. But there's a control in this car, which is something we want to capture.
So it's really a character thing. This is very much GT, not a kind of a sports car. So you're at one remove from perhaps E-Type, which had a slightly different kind of agenda, maybe. Yeah. It's about kind of luxury and sense of occasion and refinement and all of the things that you want the new car, those qualities to be baked into that new car.
Yeah.
So it's really about the feel of it.
Yeah. So what is that feeling? How does this car make you feel? And why does it make you feel that way? In everything that it does. So not just the ride. We've spoken quite a lot there about the ride, but also the way the power's delivered. You mentioned it's 285 horsepower this car when it was new. So, but it's relevant.
Totally mad.
It's relevant for its day, but it's how that power's delivered. It's always got that feeling of having a power reserve. It's always got a bit more than you need, and that's kind of again what we wanted to deliver with the new Jaguar GT.
And it's not that great a leap when you think about it. What this car is great at is that sort of lovely kind of genteel, that sort of sense of torque and smoothness being right where you want it, that accessibility of performance, that richness in the delivery. It's a kind of graphical sort of expression of Jaguarness, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I think it's there, mate. I have to say, I hadn't driven one of these before, and it really is a lovely, lovely thing. But I feel like it really is like almost like a sort of a relation at the new car.
Yeah.
The relationship that it has is so much closer than I thought any 50-year-old car could possibly have, mate. So it probably says a great deal for the length you've gone to.